Hindus and Muslims have been fighting for over centuries for a small piece of land. It's about 2.77 acres in the heart of Ayodhya, where the Babri Masjid once stood. So what has effectively happened in the last 40 days is the arguments have been wrapped up in a case which dates back to 1885 when the first case was filed, and now we are reaching the very end of the legal exercise, the legal battle, so to speak, for both sides to establish a place of worship of their own in that place. I, Samanwaya Rautray from the Economic Times, will take you through the nuances of the arguments, the possible solutions, and what the Supreme Court is going to do in its verdict, which will bring a quietus to the controversy, as also restore the harmony between the two major communities of the country. The three main parties to the case, of course, there are multiple petitions, and at least 14 petitions have been filed against the 2010 ruling of the High Court, which divided the land between the Hindus and the Muslims in the ratio of 2:1. So Hindus were supposed to get 2 parts of the land and the Muslims only 1 part. And the area under the dome went to the deity itself, and the Ram Chabutra and the Sita Rasoi went to the Khada. The Muslims were expected to shift out of that area where the mosque once stood to a nearby area. The arguments in the Supreme Court mainly confined to these three parties, the Sunni Waqf Board, the Nirmohi Akhada and the Ram Lalla through its next best friend. The Akhada was represented by senior advocate Sushil Kumar Jain. Dr. Rajiv Dhawan spoke for the Sunni Waqf Board, and of course he is a very controversial figure, so the arguments are very controversial, very dramatic, and had its moments of theatrics. And the Ram Lalla was represented by senior advocate C.S. Vaidyanathan. The Nirmohi Akhada through senior advocate Sushil Kumar Jain claimed that it has been in possession of that inner courtyard on which the mosque once stood since 1934. The other arguments are as follows. They claim that there is no documentary evidence on part of the Muslims to show that they were in continuous exclusive possession. They have also said that they will only be happy if they get control and management as the Sabayat of the deity. They are unwilling to concede the entire title to the deity if their rights as a Sabayat are not protected. So it is a very bitter fight within the Hindus themselves over who should control the deity. The Ram Lalla through senior advocate C.S. Vaidyanathan, on the other hand, claims that the Ram temple had always existed at the spot. It was a spot in which Lord Rama's father had built a fort. It was called Ram Court, and that place, a really grand temple existed, and that was destroyed to make way for the mosque, and they are citing ASI evidence to support their case, which the Muslim side obviously has contested. They are claiming that the Muslim suit is time barred by law, and they have been in possession since 1949, when the idols were first shifted into the inner courtyard or the dome of the masjid. They are claiming the Muslims had no exclusive possession. The mosque had images of idols and Hindu motifs, and slabs from the Babri Masjid showed that it was from an earlier Ram temple. The Waqf Board through senior advocate Rajiv Dhawan, on the other hand, claims that on December 6, 1992, a masjid existed on that place, and that is a fact. The rest is all conjecture, surmises, and based on accounts of travellers, which cannot be relied upon. And the board also says that the law should be applied, not scriptures. The constitutional framework of the constitution, which gives minorities a special place, should be respected. Their places of worship should get priority. And they claim that the idols were placed inside the dome of the masjid in 1949 in the middle of the night, and that was an illegal act, and the other party should not get a benefit out of a wrong act. They are saying that the Hindus had always traditionally worshipped at the Ram Chabutra. They are saying the Ram Chabutra was what lower courts have found to be the actual birthplace of Lord Rama, and therefore they are saying they should get title, but they will always allow the Hindus to worship at the Ram Chabutra, which is the birthplace. But they are not willing to concede the inner courtyard on which the masjid once stood for a Ram temple. This is of course inside the court. Much has happened outside the court, and there has been a mediation offer which is on the table.
Under CPC, the provision is there. The parties can settle their dispute and present that terms of the settlement before the court, and court takes a call on that and may approve it, may make it a part of their decree or approve it as it is. So therefore there is no bar in discussing the things outside the court when the proceedings are going on. Specifically in this case, the court has in fact allowed it. The court itself has appointed this mediation panel, and second time they say, all right, you may go on, but we will not stop hearing. The day things are over, then you tell us, and this exactly has happened. In the meantime, the hearings are over. The settlement or the terms are before the Honorable Supreme Court. The court will take a call. So it can happen.
When the judgment of the Supreme Court is reserved, then there is no provision, there is no scope for section 89 of the CPC to apply, because the scope and implication of section 89 of the CPC was till the time judgment was reserved. But the moment judgment is reserved, either the Supreme Court rehears the matter, it reviews its earlier order, revokes its earlier order, and rehears all the parties on the question of mediation and settlement. But that has not been done so far. Therefore, there is no question of settlement or mediation.
They also have pointed out that the Valmiki Ramayana or the Ramcharitmanas do not refer to any exact spot. They only say that Ayodhya is the birthplace, but there is no pinpoint location at which Lord Rama could have been born. And they want status quo as it existed on December 6, 1992, when the mosque was demolished, to be restored. These are the sum and substance of the arguments of the three key sides.